Have you ever noticed how some friends make you feel energized and motivated while others leave you feeling drained and defeated? Have you ever wondered why your health journey feels so much harder when you're doing it alone? Well, today we're going to talk about something that could be the missing piece in your health puzzle. It's not really about what you eat or how you exercise. Instead, it's about who you surround yourself with. And what I'm going to share with you might change things for you. It might actually change how you approach your health journey. Welcome to Strength for Generations, the go-to podcast for Christian families who want to build strength, restore energy, and deepen connection with God at the center. I'm Christa Baker, Christian health coach, wife, mom, and co-founder of Baker Family Fitness. I'm here to help you honor God with your health and bring peace back to the process, to simplify what it means to build strength in your body, renew your mind, and care for your spirit, all without losing precious time with your family. So grab your coffee and your ribeye, and let's do this His way. Welcome back to the Strength for Generations podcast. I'm your host, Christa Baker. And if today's message speaks to your heart, I'd like to hear from you. Feel free to come over to Facebook or Instagram and send me a message. I love hearing from you guys. It lights my heart up. It really motivates me to continue creating this content for you. Now, I'm going to share with you a little something that happened to me last week. And it got me really thinking about relationships and community. So I was driving into an appointment, and you know how when you've got this appointment that you need to get to, you're focused on being on time. I personally, I'm the type of person that likes to be on time. And I saw this man walking down my street. I'm looking over and I'm like, something felt a little bit off just by the way he was walking. And I didn't know him. He was a neighbor, but I didn't know him. So I kept watching him in my rearview mirror. And then, when you're like, you kind of got to be somewhere. And so to go to where I needed to go, I needed to turn left. And God was really prompting my heart. And he said, you need to turn around and go check on him. And so, very short, quick second, well, I have responsibilities, but I actually need to be obedient to this stirring and this nudge that God has just clearly given me. And so I turned, I went around the block. Instead of going left, I went right and came around the block. And I was like, okay, well, maybe he'd gone into his house, so I won't know where he is, but I'm going to go check and make sure if he's okay. Well, when I came around the corner, I actually found him on the ground, and he was alone. And so I jumped out of my car. I did call 911, and I stayed with him. And I just held his hand and waited for help to arrive because I didn't want to, just in case he had fallen and hurt himself, especially with my mom who has recently fallen and broken her hip. Like, I'm not just going to move this guy. I can probably get him up, but I wasn't going to take that chance. And he falls back over and then smashes his head or gets hurt or I get hurt. So I just wanted to give him a minute to just kind of sit with him. And he was so sweet. He actually told me he was 67, but he was 91. And I believed him because he looked that good, like the Italian blood. And he was so sweet. And I just got to hold his hand, and he was just so kind. And then his wife came out, and I got to meet her, and she had been caring for him, and, he had dementia, and definitely they've been going through this journey for 14 years of, some wellness struggles. But she was super kind. She ended up actually coming over, bringing us some bottles of wine to thank us for just being there. And now I get to go and check in on them more regularly, which is nice because they're just down the road. And there's definitely more to their story I won't share. It's not mine to tell. But this experience, it got me thinking about something I've been wrestling with. I realize I don't know most of my neighbors. I'm friendly. I like to say hi. Every time I walk by someone, I say hi. I think that's the Cape Bretoner in me. Next door we have elderly people. So we go and we shovel for them. And in the big snowstorms, my husband will go out and do the snow blowing for them to make sure that they're okay, or if they need help carrying things. We definitely we do our best to help, but I don't really know a lot of the people who live around me. We had issues with some neighbors a couple years ago that, caused a lot of pain in our hearts, but it also taught us a lot about the people that we were trying to be friends with that just weren't good for our souls. They didn't care about us. They didn't love us the way that, God has taught us to love our neighbors. And even before I had gone and helped this gentleman, Instead, I was like, man, I should start like a neighborhood gathering or something and just go drop off little flyers and say, come on out at this time on this date, just to get to know some people. But this experience, it really showed me something a little bit deeper. It showed me how God calls us to love our neighbors, but how that love requires us to actually see the people around us. And Jesus said the greatest commandments are to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And I did share last week that, when we don't really love ourselves and we're trying to go and love our neighbors, that can be an issue. But God said, love God, love your neighbor. And it sounds so simple, but it's so profound. And lately I've been thinking about how that applies not just to the people who live next door, but to every relationship in our lives. Who we surround ourselves with, are the people in our circle helping us become who God calls us to be? Or are they keeping us stuck in patterns that don't serve us? Because here's something I've learned after years of helping people transform their health. The people you surround yourself will either make or break your health journey. And I'm not just talking about a workout buddy. I'm talking about something so much deeper. Someone decides to get healthy. They're motivated. They have a plan. They're ready to make changes. And then they go to dinner with friends who make jokes about their rabbit food. They skip the gym because their spouse complains about them being gone. Don't go down on the treadmill. You should sit here and watch a show with me instead. They give up on their goals because the people closest to them aren't supporting the person that they're trying to become. Or maybe it's more subtle than that. Maybe it's the friend who always wants to meet for drinks and gets offended when you suggest a walk instead. And maybe it's the family member who brings up your past failures every time you try something new. Here we go again. Oh, what are you guys on to this time? Or what are you doing this time? Maybe it's a coworker who constantly complains about their own health, but shoots down every suggestion you make. These relationships, they create stress in your body. Real, measurable stress that affects your hormones and your sleep and your digestion and your ability to lose weight. Your body stays in fight or flight mode. When your body is stressed, it holds on to weight, it craves sugar, it makes healthy choices feel impossible. So I'm going to talk to you about two types of people you might have in your life right now. First, the sabotagers. These aren't necessarily bad people. They might love you deeply, but they're threatened by your growth. They're the ones who say things like, oh, you're getting too skinny. Oh, you're obsessed with healthy eating. Oh, it used to be so much more fun. Oh, just have one bite. It won't kill you. Wait, you think you're better than us now? They might bring you treats when you're trying to eat well. Like your favorite things. Oh, I saw this thing. I know it's your favorite, so I brought it to you. Even though you're like, well, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to throw it out. I'm just going to put it in the freezer instead. They might pressure you to skip workouts to spend time with them. They might roll their eyes when you order a salad. Again, they might not mean harm, but they're scared that if you change, your relationships will change. They're scared you'll outgrow them. And sometimes that fear makes them work against your success. Then they're the supporters. These are the people who cheer you on even when your goals are different from theirs. They ask, how can they help? They suggest active things to do together. They celebrate your victories without making it about them. They hold you accountable with love, not judgment. They pray for you and with you. They see who you're becoming, and they want to help you get there. And I'm going to be honest with you guys about something that I've personally been wrestling with. There have been some friendships in my life that have left me so confused and so hurt. People I thought were real friends, they aren't in my life anymore. And I find myself wondering, did I do something wrong? Should I keep putting myself out there? How much more can I invest in relationships that don't seem to be reciprocated? And it hurts. And it's confusing. And it's like, I don't even know what I did. Did I do something? I had a good conversation about this with my husband, and he's like, yeah, it's a shame. Like, it's a shame that that is happening right now. But I've had to learn about boundaries. I've had to learn that loving someone doesn't mean accepting behavior that's harmful to me. I've had to learn that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back. And I've had to learn that not every relationship is meant to last forever. And that is a really hard lesson for me, especially when somebody comes into your life so deeply and you're like, I literally pictured being old ladies together, sitting on a porch and in a rocking chair together. Like those sting. Those relationships that fall apart, they sting. Remember, some people are in your life for a season, and some are there to teach you something. Some are there for you to serve, and some are there for the long haul. The challenge is knowing the difference. And for those of you that are married, this gets even more complicated because the most important relationship in your health journey is with your spouse. I've seen couples who support each other beautifully. I love working with both the husband and wife. It is my favorite thing. They meal prep together or they work out together. They encourage each other through setbacks. Mike and I don't work out together. We only work out together basically on Saturday mornings when we have another couple come over and the four of us work out together. And, you know, I've mentioned this before. Her and I are kind of doing our own thing and him and Mike are doing the other. But we're still doing it at the same time together. And it's pretty cool. We'll go for walks together or we'll do our bike rides and things like that together. But we don't work out at the same time because we have different schedules. But it's encouraging to know I was at work all day, so I got to go down and get my workout done now. Whereas I'm more in the morning time. But I've also seen marriages where one person wants to get healthy and the other person feels threatened by it. Where one spouse is trying to change and the other spouse keeps bringing them home junk food or the things that they struggle with the most, the things that are their favorites. Oh, I saw this, like the friend, right? Well, oh, this made me think of you. It's your favorite. You should just have a bit. That's fine. Where one person is working hard to build new habits and the other person makes them feel guilty for taking time for themselves. That hurts my heart so much. I've had quite a few women tell me my husband is getting upset because I'm not hanging out with him because the only time I can go and get my workout done is after the kids go to bed and he wants me to watch a show with him instead. And that's very selfish. That's a very selfish thing to do. Your spouse should be your biggest supporter, but sometimes they're scared because then they might have to get healthy, or maybe they'll think you'll leave them because they're not healthy, or that if you change, that they'll have to change too. They're scared that you're judging their choices. I remember, I think I told you guys about that one couple that I've been working with and I love them so much. And I remember that first conversation I had with him and he's like, well, I don't want to give up this. If I want to have a piece of apple pie, I'm going to have a piece of apple pie. I'm like, cool. Like nobody's ever going to tell you not to do that. But once we start to learn what is building our strong body, you're not going to want to have that all the time, but you're going to be able to put it into your plan because that is life and you want to be able to enjoy that. And so I've had husbands come in and they just want to support their wives. So yeah, I'm going to come in, I'm going to do the work too. Their plan looks totally different. But there are unfortunately spouses that like to sabotage. And if this is your situation, you need to have an honest conversation. You need to help your spouse understand that you're not trying to become a different person. You're trying to become the best version of yourself, and that you need to maybe invite him into the journey without pressuring them. I took a course about 12 years ago, and the instructor said it was a functional nutrition course. And he said, if you've changed their diaper or they've changed yours or you're married to them, don't give them advice. And that's more from a coach's perspective because they don't want to hear it. But I don't think that was a very biblical statement. I wasn't very biblical back then. I wasn't a saved person at that time. But it makes sense from a perspective of a lot of times we just don't want to listen to, unfortunately, the people that are closest to us. But we do have to have these conversations and we can't avoid them because if this is the thing that's stalling your progress, you have to be able to get that off your chest. And here's what I believe God intended for our relationships. He's designed us for community and he's designed us to bear one another burdens, not being jealous of each other. I've had a lot of people also share with me that, this friend in their life isn't doing really well with their health journey. They're trying stuff, but they're not really following through, or they've got their own issues going on. And they are not supporting the other person, or they don't want to hang out with them anymore because they're holding on to their own shame because they're like, well, now when I see you, you're going to look at me like, oh, I'm not doing it. I'm not following through. So now you're going to judge me. And that's disheartening too. And I think that, most people when they're feeling better will encourage others to continually feel better and not pressure. God designed us to sharpen each other like iron sharpens iron. Proverbs 21:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. That means the people in your life should be making you better. They should be challenging you to grow. They should be speaking truth into your life with love. And you should be doing the same for them. 1 Corinthians 15:33 warns us that bad company corrupts good character. That means the people you spend time with will influence who you become. So if you're surrounded by people who make excuses, you'll make excuses. If you're surrounded by people who complain, you'll probably complain more too. If you're surrounded by people who give up, you'll be tempted to give up as well. But if you're surrounded by people who persevere, who grow, who trust God with their lives, you'll be encouraged to do the same. So what do you do with all this information? First, take an inventory of your relationships. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Do they encourage your growth or discourage it? Do they support your health goals or sabotage them? Do they speak life into you or drain your energy? Be honest about this. It's not about judging people, it's about recognizing influence. Second, it's time to set some boundaries where you need them. You don't have to cut people out of your life, but you might need to limit how much they influence your decisions and how much influence they have over you. Maybe you stop going to certain restaurants with certain people. Maybe you stop having long phone conversations with the friend who always complains. Maybe you love people from a distance while you're building new habits. Third, we got to look for our tribe. Find people who are going in the same direction you are. This might be a Bible study group where people actually encourage each other. This might be a fitness class where you connect with like-minded people. Be mindful of those groups, though. There's a lot of negativity in some of those groups, so I do want to caution you. This might be an online community where you can find support. It might mean asking someone you admire to mentor you. Fourth, be the friend you want to have. Start encouraging others in their growth. Start speaking life into people. Start being the person who supports rather than sabotages. God might use you to be the community somebody else is desperately seeking. And going back to my story about the neighbor, that experience reminded me that God calls us to love the people right in front of us. And sometimes we're so focused on finding the perfect community that we miss the opportunities right where we are. Your neighbors, your coworkers, the people at your gym, the other parents at your kid's school maybe, or, some of your kids' hockey team families. These are all opportunities to build relationships that could support your health journey. Maybe you invite a neighbor to go for a walk, start a healthy cooking group or a meal prep group with friends. What if you ask your spouse to pray with you about your health goals, about your family's health goals? What if you become the person who encourages instead of the person who complains? And I mentioned earlier that I was feeling spiritually dry before that neighbor incident happened. There was 3 incidents that happened within a week that I was like, okay, God, I'm back to being able to hear from you, that were very clear, and it made me feel like, okay, I can keep going forward. I was definitely in a valley and I'm coming out of it. But sometimes our relationships, they feel dry. And sometimes we feel isolated, even when we're surrounded by people. And sometimes we feel misunderstood, even by the people who love us. And if that's where you are, I want you to know that God sees you. He knows your longing for connection. He knows your desire for relationships that actually support who you're becoming. He's not going to leave you isolated. Sometimes the dry seasons are when God is preparing us for new relationships. Sometimes he's clearing out space in our lives for the right people. Sometimes he's teaching us to find our identity in him first, so we don't look to other people to fill needs that only he can fill. But he's also preparing divine appointments, just like he prepared that moment with my neighbor, just like he's preparing opportunities for you to connect with people who will encourage your growth. And here's something that most people don't realize. Isolation is literally killing us. Studies show that loneliness has the same health impact as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It increases inflammation in your body. It raises your blood pressure. It weakens your immune system. It makes you more likely to overeat or make really poor choices. And when you feel disconnected from others, your body goes into survival mode. It craves quick energy from sugar and processed foods. It holds onto weight because it thinks resources are scarce. It disrupts your sleep because your nervous system can't relax. And that's why your health journey can't be all about diet and exercise. It has to include community. It has to include relationships that support your whole person. So let's make sure that we ask God to show you who He wants in your circle. I can't stress that enough. You've got to pray and let Him reveal. Sometimes it looks like finding service opportunities. I think the best way to find community is to serve others. I love being a volunteer at church now. I always knew I wanted to get involved. I love being a life group leader now for my senior youth group. It's definitely like a firm yes for me. It feels really good. Maybe we can help out a neighbor or join the community group. There's a lot of different options. You're just going to have to really dig deep on that one. And then I want to speak to you specifically for a moment. Your wife needs your support in her health journey more than you might realize. When she's trying to eat better, please don't complain about the changes in the kitchen. And when she's taking time to exercise, don't make her feel guilty about it. When she's setting boundaries with food or activities, have her back. Women need to feel like they're protected. And so we need to have her back. And she needs to have your back too. But men, remember, your words have more power in her life than anyone else's. The words that you say and the words that you don't say. So when you tell her she's beautiful, she believes it. And when you tell her you're proud of her efforts, it's going to motivate her. And when you join her in making these changes, it changes everything for your family. You don't have to do everything exactly the same way she does. You shouldn't. You're different. We all require food and nutrients, but your body and her body are different. That's the beautiful thing about how God created us. He created us differently for a reason. But you can support her goals without undermining them, and you can encourage her growth without being threatened by it. And you could be her biggest cheerleader instead of another obstacle. And ladies, your husbands need your support too, even if he doesn't ask for it. Men often struggle with health changes because they feel like they're losing control. They might resist your suggestions, not because they don't want to be healthy, but because they feel criticized. Instead of nagging them, like I hate that word, nagging them, but that's literally what they hear. So instead of nagging them about what he should do, focus on what you can control. Like you can make healthy options and be that support system and not make a big deal about it. If they are, I want to do this journey with you, and they want to go out and have ice cream and a piece of cake, don't judge them. Don't be like, oh yeah, you're going to go do that. Don't do that. Encourage him when he makes good choices without pointing out when he doesn't. Pray for him instead of trying to fix him. And remember that your health journey is yours. You can't make him change, but you can model what it looks like to take care of yourself well. It's the exact same thing with teaching people about Jesus. We want everyone to know Jesus, right? But if I go and all I do is I'm like, every single time I say someone, I'm like, you need to know Jesus. You need to know Jesus. Oh, you just sinned. You better say sorry. You better do, and I'm like poking at them every 2 seconds. That's exactly what we're doing. And we can't do that to them. It's not going to be received well. Remember, one person in a family starts, it's going to affect everybody. So your choices matter more than you know. And your commitment to health is not selfish. So I'm just going to leave you with this final thought. God has not called you to walk this journey alone. Remember, He's designed you for community, and He's placed people on your path who need what you have to offer too. He's preparing people who will support you in becoming who He's called you to be. Sometimes those people are already in your life, and sometimes they're strangers. Sometimes they're neighbors who you've never met, but they're out there. And your job is to be open to the connections God wants to make. Your job is to love well, set healthy boundaries, and trust that He will provide the relationships that you need. If this message is stirring something in your heart, I don't want you to keep it to yourself. Maybe God is showing you that you need to have some honest conversations with people in your life. Maybe He's showing you that you need to step out and find new community. And maybe He's showing you that you need to be the kind of friend you wish you had. Whatever it is, don't ignore that prompting. Send me a message on Instagram at Baker Family Fitness or find me on Facebook and tell me what God is showing you about relationships and your health journey. Because here's what I know, when you have the right people in your corner, everything becomes possible. God has a community waiting for you. Your job is to step into it. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If this encouraged you, please share it with someone who might be feeling isolated in their health journey. And remember, keep building strength for generations. Thanks for tuning in to Strength for Generations. If this podcast encouraged you, it would be a blessing if you took a quick minute to leave a 5-star review. It helps more families hear this message and find hope for their health and faith journey. It lights me up to know this podcast is helping you. And if you feel led to share this episode, text it to a friend, post it to your stories, or send it to someone on your heart. God might use it to encourage someone who really needs it today. And don't forget to eat steaks, lift weights, love Jesus, and keep doing it His way.